It may have taken a quarter of the season. It may be something we expected at the beginning, but it finally happened. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has finally arrived today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is November 28th, 2024. Happy Thanksgiving. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the focus is on the Magic's backcourt as Kentavious Caldwell-Pope finally arrives. The Magic get exactly what they paid for in KCP. We'll break down his game, plus how Jalen Suggs put a career night forward. We're not going to forget about him either. That's all coming up today on Locked On Magic. Before we do that, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. If you're listening to us on Thanksgiving, thanks for taking some time during the holiday to listen to me yammer on about the Magic. I truly appreciate that. If you're listening to us Friday, even better. We're good Black Friday listening, while you're in line to go shopping. You can find us wherever you download podcasts, and you can now subscribe to the Locked On Magic daily newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com to get started. When the Orlando Magic signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, the Magic believed, or Magic fans at least believed, that they were getting someone that could answer the questions about the Magic shooting. The Magic did not have a knockdown, reliable 40% three-point shooter who could do all the things the Magic liked. They did not have the guy that they needed. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, while not maybe the volume shooter or the crazy big name that you would expect to get with the kind of cap room the Magic had, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope seemed to fit the bill. He seemed like he would enhance and add to one of the best defensive teams in the league, doubling down on one of the Magic's biggest strengths, but give them something that they did not have anywhere else on the roster. Give them something that would further elevate this team. That's what was supposed to happen. But obviously, this season has not gone the way that anybody hoped from KCP. Kenny has struggled this year, averaging just 6.8 points per game, the fewest since his rookie year, and shooting a career-worst 22.4% from three. Can't tell you how many times we've been on this show and talked, if the Magic had just shot better, it's about the shooting, it's about the shooting, it's about the shooting. And I would look down at the comments and see people say, the Magic should have gotten more shooting. It's a failure of the front office. And I'd be like, the Magic kind of acquired one of the best shooters on the market. He just happens not to be making shots at the moment. It's a hard nut to figure because we know Kenny is better. Kenny shot 40% or better from three in 3 of the last 4 years. And the 1 year he didn't, he shot 39%. It may take a gargantuan effort because we're already a quarter of the way through the season. We'll be a quarter way through the season at halftime on Friday. It may take a gargantuan effort for Kenny to catch up, to get back to the level that we expect him to be at. But we know he can shoot better. We just haven't seen it in full display. We just haven't seen it take over until Wednesday. On Wednesday against the Chicago Bulls, this day before Thanksgiving, we finally saw the Kentavious Caldwell-Pope that we expected to see. Not only the guard, not only the wing that added and enhanced the Magic's already stellar defense. Not only the wing who is a perfect complement to Jalen Suggs and gives the Magic an elite defensive tandem, but someone who's going to hit threes, shoot confidently, and make teams pay when the paint collapses. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope scored a season-high 24 points on 8 for 13 shooting 6 for 10 from beyond the arc. Yes, that's right, 6 3-pointers. His first game making more than 2 3-pointers this season. He added 4 steals for good measure. Kenny was exactly what the Magic imagined. When the ball swung to him on the perimeter, he shot the 3 confidently. And in one critical sequence in the second quarter, he got a steal near the free throw line, raced down to the other end of the court, and did what we have been waiting for him to do all year, drained a pull-up 3-pointer in transition. That is something he is very, very good at. All those stats and all those numbers that we threw out from last year because they weren't delivered this year, Kenny finally delivered. And you could tell talking to the team and talking to the players, A, how much they supported him, and B, the relief of the moment. That this isn't going to last forever and that the Magic did make the right choice going after Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Obviously, he's got to do it in more than one game, but this was a sense of relief that he finally delivered. And that's been the message from the team to their sharpshooter all year long. Just keep shooting. There's nothing else to do. In fact, if you're a shooter, there is nothing else to do. You got to keep shooting. And this Magic team, yeah, they might be battling a bout of lacking confidence. Because when your best shooter on the team is missing shots and everyone on the team is missing shots, you do start to second guess. You do start to pull up and say, I don't feel confident taking this shot. Staying confident is half the battle in this league. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's been getting good looks. Of his 76 attempts, 36 have come with the closest defender 6 or more feet away, which also kind of speaks to how defenses don't want to leave him. They still believe he is a good 3-point shooter. The team needed the shot of confidence that comes from a game like this. And it spread to the rest of the team. Good shooting begets good shooting. Orlando shot 6 for 10 from 3 from the beginning of the game. They made a bunch of threes early. And you could feel that confidence offensively growing because Chicago is just not a good defensive team. Orlando ended up shooting 15 for 39 from 3. That's 38.5%. They were stellar from beyond the arc. And maybe falling back a little bit too much on it at times. But Kenny hitting his threes were huge. He had a back-to-back threes in the second quarter that helped stave off a Chicago run that cut the deficit at one point down to 10. Bulls never got closer than that. And Kenny was a big part of that equation. And enabled everything else and all the other elements of his game to come forward. Look, we'll get more into this game and talk about the box score in a minute, but this was not the Magic's best defensive effort. They got sucked into the Chicago's game of playing with pace and playing fast. The Magic have to do a better job controlling the tempo when they're playing teams like this. But also, Orlando made shots. Like, you can make mistakes when you're making shots. And at the end of the day, the Magic made far fewer mistakes than Chicago did. Orlando finished the game with 25 stocks. Sorry, I got that wrong. With 18 stocks. 25 is a lot. 18 stocks, which is above their average. They're at like 16.5 stocks per game entering the game. Stocks for steals and blocks combined. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had 4 of them. Zach LaVine shot just 3 for 9. KCP was the main defender on Zach LaVine. Kobe White shot 3 for 10. At the end of the day, what the Magic imagined when they made this acquisition, when they got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, is exactly what we finally saw Wednesday. We finally saw the Magic's terror group, Kenny J, terrorizing teams defensively, chasing after them, getting steals, making it difficult for them to get good shots. And then we finally saw them turn that into offense on the other end. The math, the formula ain't hard for this Magic team. This was a stellar showing, a stellar performance, a solid effort, and just a really good game for Orlando. Something that this team can continue to build on, something that this team can use to continue to grow, and something that hopefully becomes a little bit more normal from Kentavious Caldwell-Pope now that hopefully this means he is broken out of his shooting slump. It wasn't just Kenny. It wasn't just KCP in this game. Career night for Jalen Suggs. Let's give him some love coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can find everything because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch, in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Obviously, Thanksgiving is a big, big football day with the NFL going in full force. If you want to watch the Lions destroy the Bears, 9.5-point favorites in Detroit. The Cowboys face the Giants for some reason. Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites there. Or the Green Bay Packers take on the Miami Dolphins. The nightcap, the one you want to watch, 3.5-point favorites for the home standing Packers. If you want to get ready for Friday's big game in college football, UCF currently 9.5-point favorites over Utah for their season finale at the Bounce House. They even got the odds for the NBA for the NBA Cup games this Friday. The Orlando Magic 4.5-point favorites to take on the Brooklyn Nets and get to 3-0 in NBA Cup action. NBA Cup East Group winner down to just two teams on the board. The New York Knicks favorite at -350, the Magic at +220. NBA Cup East Group A is going to come down to that last game on Tuesday in Madison Square Garden. So visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your $5 bet. Your first $5 bet, excuse me. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. This game was about the Magic's backcourt. And look, Chicago is not a good defense. Like, no getting around it. The numbers tell you they're not a good defense. The Magic really got whatever they wanted. And really the only thing that held the Magic back was maybe playing a little too fast at times and settling for threes at times. Orlando took 39 threes. That's on the high end, but not exceedingly high. Chicago took 42. Magic would probably like to see them take a few fewer threes, but 38.1%. This is a heavy three-point shooting team in Chicago. They did okay at the end of the day. But this game was about Jalen Suggs. With Franz Wagner bottled up a little bit, struggling a little with the shot, Jalen Suggs stepped into the fray. And from the very beginning of the game just seemed to be on track, seemed to be energized by the home crowd. A career-high 31 points for Jalen Suggs. 10 for 18 shooting, 4 for 9 from beyond the arc, 7 for 7 from the foul line. Love seeing him get to the foul line. And 7 assists against 2 turnovers. A fantastic game from Jalen Suggs where he got to his spots, made his little in-between shots and flip shots, made his threes, defended like crazy as he always does. Again, like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope did exactly what the Magic hoped to see from him and did it at an exceptionally high level. Jalen Suggs has had his ups and downs this year. There's no doubt about it. No player has probably been affected more by Paolo Banchero's injury than Jalen Suggs. Paolo fed Jalen Suggs a lot of open shots, fed him a lot of clean looks that he made. And with Paolo out, Suggs has had to be a little bit more on the attack. And, Suggs even thought about it when he talked on the podium after the game on Wednesday. 3 years ago as a rookie, he was kind of just going crazy, doing whatever. And never really on track or never fully on track. Now he's got to figure out how to play with some composure. And we've seen him be a little wild. We've seen him have these moments where he needed to take a breath and slow himself down. This was a game that showed what he looks like when he's slowed down, when he's in control. And again, look, Chicago's not a great defensive team. Kobe White is a fantastic offensive talent. He is not a good shooter. But from the beginning of this game, the Magic set the tone. Suggs hit a 3 to open the game. The Magic defense got down. They led by 13. They outscored Chicago 38-25 in the first quarter. They were in control of this game from the start and never let go. And a lot of that comes from the composure that Suggs played with. Suggs said after the game, this 31-point game is, his career game. It's because of all the building blocks that took to get him here. The struggles that he had as a rookie and as a second-year player. The having to learn how to play point guard. The dealing with the injuries. The faith that the Magic kept in him. He said it takes a village to raise a child. It took a village to make this game, to make a career game. And look, Suggs has put in a lot of work, put in a lot of faith, a lot of trust in himself. But the Magic have had a lot of trust in him too. And as this team gains confidence, because that's really the theme here, is this is a confident team that feels like they can win any way they need to win, that believes they're going to win every game that they're in. It's something we've said here, but this team, I think, truly believes it. And truly believes that not only that, they can lift each other up. If Franz is having a bad game, Jalen Suggs will step up. If Kenny's shooting well, they're going to feed him the ball. They're going to lift each other up to make each other better. And that's why I think this Magic team is continuing to find these ways to win. Suggs is this ultimate teammate. He is the heartbeat of this team. He is the energy of this team. He is the one that gives this team its life, its identity in so many ways, because of how intense his defense is. And, look, it's not just a bonus whatever the Magic get from him offensively. Everyone knows he can fill up the box score. He can score. But this is a different level. This game was a different level because we haven't seen him play with the composure and the control to attack the mid-range, to get to his spots, to hit that fadeaway. That takes confidence and belief. And look, right now, this Magic team believes. This Magic team believes wholeheartedly in themselves and what they're doing. Of course, this is all just one game, and we're not expecting Suggs to score 30 a night. We're not expecting Kenny to score 25 a night. Franz will pick up his slack. He had 21 points in this game. He'll pick up the slack soon. Someone's got to fill in and fill those shots and fill those moments. But now it's about consistency. Now it's about, okay, let's go to Brooklyn. Let's go on the road. Can you shoot this well on the road? Because the Magic have not shot this well on the road. Can you still gut out these victories? Can you fill in when players need the boost that day? Can Suggs give you the consistent 20 a night that the Magic might need against the quality teams like who we're going to see Tuesday? Brooklyn's playing well. I don't want to overlook Brooklyn, but Tuesday's on the horizon here. Big game on Tuesday against the Knicks. The Magic do have all of this opportunity. They do have, I think, the chance to be this consistent. And, again, this time without Paolo is forcing players to the front. And so career game from Jalen Suggs, a confidence-boosting game from Jalen Suggs, and certainly a belief that he can do this all again. It took a village to get Jalen Suggs here. It took everybody on this roster to rebuild that confidence in him and put him in a place where he could do a night like this. It's going to take a village to continue lifting him and lifting this team up the way that they're playing right now. Let's go through the box score. We'll talk a little bit about that and Wendell Carter's return to the Orlando Magic. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Skylight Frames. Want to celebrate and stay connected with the people who are far away? Missing someone this holiday season and want them to be part of your festivities from afar? Do your loved ones live far away but wish they could be close to you? Well, we've got the perfect gift for you this holiday season. Skylight Frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame your whole family will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds. It's so easy to use. Setup can take less than 60 seconds, which is good for the technologically challenged. There's seamless sharing. You can invite friends and family to easily share photos via the free Skylight mobile app or email. No account or subscription is required. You can add new photos straight from your phone or from anywhere. It only takes a tap on your phone to send new photos to a frame across the country. It's the fastest, easiest way to keep loved ones in the loop. They'll feel so much more connected to you, which is, of course, the biggest and most important thing on this time of year. And now is a special limited time offer for our listeners. Get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NBA. That's Skylight, SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/NBA. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/NBA. Let's go through the rest of the box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Chicago Bulls 133-119. Obviously, this was a weird game. I was sitting with Mason Williams of Magic on SI, guest of the pod most recently, and we were looking at each other as the Magic made 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. The Magic shot 15 for 39 on threes. That's 38.5%. And consider we're used to the Magic shooting 33% or worse, certainly worse than 20% at times. This was a bizarre game. And, at the end of the day, while the Magic used those threes to race ahead, they needed every single one of those threes because Chicago made 16 for 42. Again, this has been kind of my thing that I've been on lately. It's less about how many threes the Magic make or the percentage that they make. It's that they keep up with the other team. If the Magic are going to make 8 threes, they can't give up more than 11 or 12. If the Magic are going to make 15, giving up 16 threes doesn't hurt as much. You can make up 3 points. And the Magic made up 3 points in a bunch of other places. Orlando scored 60 points in the paint. Big factor there. They got 26 of 28 free throws. Getting to the foul line was really the big difference in this game if you're looking just at the box score. Chicago was just 11 for 16. Orlando was 26 of 28. The ability to get downhill, force themselves into the paint, create contact, get to the line, and score, that's what kept them in the lead. Look, Orlando, again, got out to a fast start. They were 6 of 10 from 3 in the first quarter. They led by 13 before they could blink. They led by 10 for a good chunk of the first quarter. They never got under 10, but this was really a game played at Chicago's pace. Chicago was able to pick the speed up. They were getting a lot of threes. Even though they were turning the ball over, they had 18 turnovers for 19 points. Orlando turned it right back over to them on 13 turnovers in this game. Franz Wagner was struggling. This was not it was a blowout win. Orlando led wire to wire. They led by as much as 27. But Orlando kind of messed around in that third quarter, especially. And, never really found out, but it was a 15-point game or 16-point game or 17-point game heading into the fourth quarter. And it felt like the game was on a little bit of a knife's edge. You always expect the Magic to defend long enough that it's not going to be the case. But, in this game, the Magic defended well, but also didn't defend well. They scored and answered every basket that got scored on them, but they didn't defend the way we're used to seeing them defend. And I would honestly say that, look, they defended really well against Charlotte. They'll defend when they need to defend. The game called for them to be better offensively. The offense gave them some leeway, which is not a bad thing. I'm not going to be so upset. They won the game. That's what matters in the end. But the defense definitely left a little bit to be desired, especially since we do hold this team to a very high standard on that end. To give up 119 points at home, the way the Magic have been defending at home, that is something. But Chicago, very good offensive team, plays at the fastest pace in the league. I think they had a 113 defensive rating, which for most teams would be really good. The Magic, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. But when you score 127 points per 100 possessions, that doesn't matter as much. The Magic took care of their business. They made the shots in the end. As I mentioned, Jalen Suggs, 31 points, 7 assists, 4 for 9 from 3. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 24 points, 4 steals, 8 for 13 shooting, 6 for 10 from 3. Those were the anchor players. They made the shots when the ball swung to them. Jalen especially got downhill, made his mid-range jumpers. Really strong, best games of the season for both Suggs and Kenny on the offensive end at the very least. Again, like Orlando was super active defensively. I don't want to pretend like their defense was terrible. Jonathan Isaac especially was all over the place. He only scored 4 points. He was 1 for 5. Starting to just favor his three-point shot and hunt for his three-point shot a little bit. It's just not there. So, maybe just stick to the putbacks for a little while. But 6 rebounds for J.I. He was credited with 3 blocks, changed a bunch of others. I don't know if they ended up counting that wraparound pass that Isaac blocked as a steal or not. It was a steal or a block. I don't think it was a shot, so I think it was a steal. But Isaac was super duper active, just made Chicago's life so hard in this one. And just you could just feel his presence on the floor, even if it was block chasing a little bit in that game. The Magic did welcome Wendell Carter back to the lineup. He ended up playing 17:55, so about 18 minutes, a little bit more than the 16 that Jamal Mosley said he would play. Didn't do a lot offensively. 4 points, 2 for 5 shooting, 0 for 3 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Did add a block. Jamal Mosley said after the game that Carter's return was not about any stats. It was just about him being out there with the group, getting back into the flow of things. And, honestly, yes, he didn't have crazy good stats. It wasn't a counting game for him. But he looked very comfortable. And he looked very solid. He played well. He did what the Magic needed him to do. He defended well. Nikola Vucevic shot 8 for 20. Carter was guarding Josh Giddey a lot. Giddey did not get his shots off against Carter. Did end up with 13 points on 5 for 6 shooting. But I thought Carter was really good defensively. Just if the measure was getting his feet wet, he looked good. The fact that he played 2 more minutes and Mosley was lamenting playing in those 2 extra minutes, to me, that honestly says he's playing so well, I'm not even thinking about him being out there. I'm not counting the minutes until I can take him out. He was playing well and deserved to be out there. The interesting thing, though, the Magic ended up playing Wendell Carter and Goga Bitadze together. They ended up playing Wendell Carter a lot at the 4 in this game. So the Magic were not here to disrupt that rotation quite yet. We presented that choice earlier in the week. Maybe it was a false choice, but this matchup, the Magic felt comfortable going bigger, and it worked really, really well. Goga Bitadze had a really strong game with 11 points, 11 rebounds, did add 2 blocks, 4 for 4 from the floor. Bitadze was super active, just really, having all these defenders allows guys to fly around and know that they'll be covered behind them. Again, not the best defensive game in the world for the Magic, but they were flying around, especially early on in the game, just really setting the tone for how they were going to play and what they were going to bring in this game. Just, not a spectacular game, but a really solid game. And again, just for now, the Wendell Carter Goga Bitadze duo seem to be working. And again, we'll see what that looks like against Brooklyn. Brooklyn, I think, plays a little bit smaller. So maybe the Magic go with that again and just try to be out physical them again and rely on their defense to stop the 3-point shooting again. I think the Magic making shots changed this game completely. But things worked really well. Franz Wagner struggled a bit in this one. 21 points, 7 for 20 shooting, 1 for 6 from 3, 6 for 6 from the foul line. I believe he had 12 of those 21 in the first quarter. So 6 assists for him as well. Franz did set the tone for this game. So he didn't play poorly in that sense. He set the tone for this game, got some shots going early, got everybody moving, and got everyone into the flow of things. He did struggle the rest of the way. A lot more flip shots, a lot more of those kind of in-between layup shots that he tends to struggle with sometimes. 3-point shot just wasn't there tonight for him. But again, Magic didn't need it. Magic got production from elsewhere. They got other players to fill in. He got them going. He got the engine revved, and everyone else drove from there. Off the bench, Mo Wagner with 15 points. I don't have much to say about him. Just very typical Mo Wagner game. Just active around the basket, moving, cutting, post-ups, all that stuff that he's just so good at and just finds gaps and holes to go with. The Magic shoot 51.1% from the floor. Again, big factor in why they won. They actually made shots. 15 for 39 from 3, 26 for 28 from beyond the arc. 60 points in the paint, 11 second chance points. They did have 11 fast break points. Some of their turnovers led to fast breaks for Chicago, which you can't do. Both at 28 fast break points. So again, just a lot to clean up. This was not a great defensive effort. There were mistakes aplenty, but the Magic were able to get away with them and dominate the Chicago Bulls. This was not a close game. dominate the Chicago Bulls 133-119. The Magic will be back in action on Friday in NBA Cup play against the Brooklyn Nets as they try to go to 3-0, give themselves a really good chance to advance even with a loss to the Knicks on Tuesday. We'll go through those permutations when we get there, but Magic in control of their own destiny. They are in first place in East Group A. So pair of wins in their next 3 games between the Nets and the Knicks. Going to go a long way for this team to figure out if they will play in the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on, I got to make one more stat note, actually. 30 assists for the Magic, 30 assists on 46 field goals. Really high percentage of assists. They move the ball really, really well. Again, 6 assists for Franz, 7 assists for Jalen Suggs. Just wanted to point that out. But now that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD or on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the Filming Sound podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can, of course, find us there on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub. I have my 3 takeaways after every game. I have a video breaking down Franz Wagner's ascent to stardom. That is free and pinned to the top of the page. If you want to read that, you can check that out at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Also, if that's not enough, your favorite Locked On podcast, which is us, has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Magic Daily newsletter, the one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. Whenever you're listening to this, I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I hope you get to enjoy some turkey, some food, some family, maybe some football, maybe think about some basketball. We appreciate you spending at least part of your Thanksgiving day with us here on the pod, or if it's not Thanksgiving Day, your day in general. We do appreciate that as well. We're thankful for you, the listeners, for making this community, making this podcast so successful. Truly appreciate all of you. I am taking Thursday off. There will be no new episode on Friday, so this will be your Friday episode as well. I'll be back with you to break down the Magic's game against the Brooklyn Nets after the game on Friday. We'll see you then on Locked On Magic, but until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again for another episode of Locked On Magic.